Let's try this again. So I'm gonna start a word of the day, probably just on Wednesdays because I work throughout the week. I got a job. Y'all should too. The word of the day today is going to be authenticity. And I'm probably gonna mess up this word a few times throughout this video. Don't do me. You know what I'm saying. Make sure we spell this right. Authenticity. And authenticity is just simply the quality of being genuine or real, which we'll get into it. Authenticity, being genuine or real. Now, in the world where everybody's fake as hell, trying to be Jada Waiter, trying to get this biggest dollar on social media, this right here, there's a big lack of this on social media. There's a big lack of this just in the world generally. I just don't get it. We live in a world where everybody want to be Jada Waiter, want to do things that's just already taken up. God put us all here to do different things. So just because it works for them does not mean it's going to work for you. And we walk in this life so confused, wondering, just miserable because we're trying to be somebody else and not living how we are supposed to be, or trying to push and figure out who we're supposed to be. To live in your true authentic self, it takes a certain level of confidence, certain level of self-trust, certain level of understanding that you have room to grow, you got room to change. Working with your own abilities and discovering yourself and what you can kind of work with will push you closer to being a more authentic person. Look at my nose. I feel like most of us, and when I say all this, I'm saying all this from because I need to learn, you need to learn, we both need to work on this. This is not just something that I'm just telling you just because. This is a family thing. But we constantly get up in life and we constantly want to know, why does God have me here? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? The more you start living for you and how you truly want to operate, the more the idea of what you're supposed to be doing here will come to the forefront. Most of the time, it's very hard for people to be themselves and be genuine or real, live in their true authenticity because they do not like themselves. Self love is a grand component. Self trust is another grand component. Self confidence is another grand component that you need to live in your true authentic self now. And you want to know that one of the easiest ways to start doing that, start having those uncomfortable conversations with yourself. A lot of us hide the true us instead of just fixing what we don't like. A lot of us mimic other people instead of just fixing what we don't like. You are with yourself every day. If you don't like your own company, you cannot expect other people to like you. That's actually unfair. But having more self confidence, self trust, self love, especially self trust, give yourself grace. Come on now. We're not all out here doing it. Nobody's perfect. And if you can show me somebody perfect, I'll give you $1 million. You know how I just said $1 million? Because I'm lying. There's no perfect person. Come on now. Y'all be too afraid. I don't like when I say stuff like that. Y'all be too afraid. Most of the time, we're too afraid to show up as ourselves with the fear of not being liked. But with all the people in the world, somebody's gonna like you for you, man, if you just show up as you. But most of the time, we get so confuzzled in our relationships because we start portraying one thing and then we have to live in that lie, live in this role, live as someone that we're simply not, instead of just being who we are from jump. You know what I'm saying? And then you get faced with in most relationships, character flaws start to pop out here and there. And the only reason it is a character flaw is because you haven't processed, you haven't sat down long enough to deal with it. There's no self confidence, no self trust, no self love as to where you would have just shown up as yourself from jump. People ask me all the time, hold on, people ask me all the time, how do you lose weight? How did you lose weight? How did you lose weight? When you start having those uncomfortable conversations in your head with yourself and just stop giving a fuck, and that's just really what it is. Stop caring about what people got to say. People are always gonna have an opinion. To the end of the day, we all got an opinion, just like everybody got assholes. Like, I don't know, because for me, I'm not gonna say I've always been a real ass bitch, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I can't fathom trying to be somebody else because I mean, we all got character flaws, so why would I want to be somebody else? You don't know what other people are going through by showing up as themselves. And a lot of the time on social media, people get in trouble for acting like somebody else or acting like another personality, and then you don't know how to respond because you done got in trouble by acting like that certain personality and you don't know how to respond because that's not normally you. Show up as you. The quickest way to answer to other people, and you really don't need to answer to other people.
Just scratch that. You don't need to answer to other people. Don't even worry about that because people don't even know what they be talking about most of the time.
Choose authenticity. That will help you figure out why God has you here. That will help you live your best life. The weight that you feel just off your shoulders when you just show up as you, it's amazing, man. I can't tell you. One of the best analogies that I got for you is if we were to take a diamond tester and put it up to you, see how real or fake you are being. Most of y'all ain't gonna make no noise. And you know what I'm talking about. It's gonna stay in that red zone. For me, I'm probably a little in the yellow. I'm working more and more to try to push who I am. I mean, shit, you see me making this video. It's a process. It's not an easy process. Growing is never an easy process. I'm never going to come up here and say that because it's not. Find why God has you here is not an easy process. I'll never preach that either, but it's also important for us to figure out why God has us here. Authenticity, being genuine or real, man. Being genuine and real, it also comes with hard truths. Take that accountability so you can be authentic. Come on now. We need more out here. The more we put more genuine and real shit out here, we can fade this fake stuff out of social media. It's so hard for other people to show up on social media when we got all this fake hot shit, celebrity shit. In this economy, we really need to stop that. Come on, we're in struggling times. Do not piss me off. Be fucking for real. But yeah, the word of the day. Bye, y'all.